In today's class, we're going to deal with physical quantities. By the end of this class, we should be able to define a physical quantity, describe physical quantities, and categorize physical quantities. So let's quickly define a physical quantity. What is a physical quantity? A physical quantity is anything that is measurable. Anything human beings can measure is a physical quantity. Now, I want you to note that there are physical quantities which can be measured directly and physical quantities which can be measured indirectly. For example, if you are to measure your mass, you step on a balance, you read your mass directly from the balance. However, if we are to measure density, we say density is equal to mass divided by volume. So for us to measure density, we need to measure mass first, measure volume, then compute for our density. In this case, we have measured density but indirectly. So in both cases, as long as a quantity can be measured by human beings, it is a physical quantity. Let's describe a physical quantity. A physical quantity is described using two things. Number one, a numerical magnitude, which is a number, and a unit of measure, which is a symbol representing a standard of measure. What do we mean by a numerical magnitude and a unit of measure? Magnitude refers to size, how big or how small. Unit of measure refers to the standard of measurement. Let me use an example to explain what do we mean by a standard of measurement. One may say the mass of a box is 50 kilograms. 50 is the numerical magnitude, the number representing the size. Kilogram is the unit of measure. If someone says, I want you to take my parcel, which is 50, just 50, that is meaningless. You don't know how heavy the parcel is. For you to know how heavy the parcel is, you need a standard of measure. Once they say 50 grams, you know that I can carry it. If they say 50 kilograms, you may decide I need to book a cab. So these two systems here are units which are standard of measurements. They give the actual magnitude, size to the numerical number. So a numerical number on its own cannot describe a physical quantity. So for you to describe a physical quantity, you should put a number representing the size and a symbol for the unit of measure representing a standard of measurement. Now, we want to look at the categories of physical quantities. So physical quantities can be grouped into two families: base quantities and derived quantities. And you should define both these terms. Let's start by defining a base quantity. Base quantities are fundamental quantities. Very important expression which should never be left out if you are to define it. These are fundamental quantities that are not defined in terms of other quantities. For example, mass is the amount of matter in an object. You are not using another physical quantity to define mass. Let's look at derived quantities. These are physical quantities obtained through multiplication or division of fundamental quantities. In some cases, you may use both. For instance, I'm going to revisit density. We say the density is mass divided by volume. Now, if density is mass divided by volume, we are defining density in terms of mass and volume. So we are saying our density is mass per unit volume. For us to derive volume or define volume, we are using base quantities, mass and length. So these are derived quantities. I'm going for a break and I want to leave you with this exercise. After the break, I'll answer these questions. Let's see if you can take on this activity. Given the physical quantities in this box, you are required to categorize them into two groups, either base quantity or derived quantities. Take note of the definitions and attempt this over our break. See you shortly. Right, welcome back. This is the time we're going to close our class, and I hope you have learned. So I will leave you with the table of the solution to the activity given before the break. It should be very important for you to note that in the universe, we only have 7 base quantities: mass, time, length, temperature, electric current, luminous intensity, and amount of substance. 7 base quantities only. So once you master these 7 base quantities, then anything which is coming out of this list is a derived quantity. See you in the next class when you look at the units and the SI system of units. Enjoy your time.